Hello, I'm Larry Johnson. Welcome to this episode of Countercurrents. I'm recording this. It is Tuesday morning, East Coast time, and we are on the eve, I fear, of dramatic escalation of the war in the Middle East. This is not about preventing Iran from getting nuclear weapons. Iran does not have nuclear weapons. Iran, unlike Israel, is a member and has signed on to the Non-Proliferation Treaty, the NPT. Iran, unlike Israel, is a member with the IAEA and allows IA, International Atomic Energy Agency, officials and experts to inspect Iranian nuclear facilities. Iran, despite Western claims that it's a lawless regime, has been just the opposite in adhering to international law and, in my judgment, foolishly trusting the West to do the right thing. This, sadly, in my view, has been a problem not just with Iran, but with Russia and China. They have sought to adhere to the rules of the so-called international rules-based order, but have discovered, I think, much to their chagrin, that this is a set of rules that applies only when the United States wants to apply them, and it is applied capriciously and hypocritically. There is no consistency. During the last 12 hours, there have been several very, very disturbing developments. The one that has me most concerned is Donald Trump was asked directly about the intelligence community's assessment, and noting that Tulsi Gabbard, his own director of national intelligence, had testified before Congress within the last 2 months that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. And Trump just basically said, I don't care what Tulsi Gabbard has to say. I'm not listening to her. So Trump has now become his own intelligence agency. In my entire career, dating back to 1985, so we're talking over 40 years, I have never, ever seen a president so publicly and dismiss and insult not just his director of either Central Intelligence or National Intelligence, but the entire judgment of the intelligence community on this very critical issue. What Trump could have said was, I'm consulting with Miss Gabbard, and we're going to operate on the best intelligence. But that's not what he said. Trump has decided to buy into the Israeli lies, the lies being pumped out of Jerusalem by the Zionists, that Iran has a nuclear bomb in the making, just right on the edge. They almost got it. Of course, we've heard this line out of Israel going back to 1984. So it's been around for more than 41 years. A consistent lie. Trump, by embracing that, has signed off on orders to have deployed not just air refuelers, super tankers, aircraft that can refuel combat aircraft, but they're also deploying significant numbers of combat aircraft. They're sending everything. This is not designed to scare Iran. This reflects a U.S. decision has been made to attack. When that attack will take place, I do not know. If that attack takes place, Donald Trump should be impeached. He should be removed from office. But I don't think that's not likely to happen. I was around and remember very well the war fever that was being drummed up in 2002 when we were told repeatedly that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and had to be stopped, or else the future security of the United States and Israel was at stake. It was a lie back then. It was a lie that Colin Powell happily went along with, as well did other members of the George W. Bush administration. It was a lie that the media embraced and repeated over and over and over, saturating the airwaves until the people of the United States had become convinced that, yes, Saddam has weapons of mass destruction and we must stop him. It was a lie back then. This was not about weapons of mass destruction. This was about regime change, trying to install somebody in Saddam's place that would be a puppet of the United States and would be, most importantly, from the U.S. standpoint, a good friend of Israel. Because that's what this is about, fulfilling the Zionist vision. So now we jump ahead to today. Donald Trump just issued another one of his Truth Social rantings in which he decried as a false manufactured story the notion that he was encouraging and seeking talks with Iran. He rejected that. That leaves only one option. He's going to enter the United States into another needless war under the pretext of stopping Iran from getting nuclear weapons. But really what this is more about is getting a regime change, getting rid of the mullahs, getting rid of the Islamic Republic, reinstalling the son of the Shah of Iran, Reza Pahlavi, and putting in place a government in Iran that will be pliant, obedient, subservient to the United States. This is what's at stake. And candidly, I'm not sure if President Putin or President Xi of China understand this, that if they stand by and do nothing, if they stand by and allow this outrage, this criminal act to go forward, they're next on the chopping block. This is, Russia has already been at the forefront of this effort to destroy it through the war, the start of the Maidan in 2014. But NATO's efforts to take Russia apart predated that, going back to 1995. So Russia full well knows what's at stake. I also understand the reticence of President Putin to take any action that could perhaps precipitate the exchange of nuclear weapons and throw the world into the maelstrom of a nuclear holocaust. Quite understandable, quite reasonable, quite responsible. But unfortunately, the leaders in my country, in the United States, they are seized with apocalyptic visions. This is highlighted, and I want to share this with you. It was a message that Mike Huckabee sent to Donald Trump last night. And it is indicative of how religion has corrupted this entire process. It is this end of times, Jesus is coming back nonsense. Huckabee writes, Mr. President, God spared you in Butler, Pennsylvania to be the most consequential president of this century, maybe ever. The decisions on your shoulders I would not want to be made by anyone else. You have many voices speaking to you, sir, but there is only one voice that matters, his voice. I am your appointed servant in this land and am available to you, but I do not try to get in your presence often because I trust your instincts. No president in my lifetime has been in a position like yours, not since Truman in 1945. I don't reach out to persuade you, only to encourage you. I believe you will hear from heaven, and that voice is far more important than mine or anyone else's. You sent me to Israel to be your eyes, ears, and voice, and to make sure our flag flies above our embassy. When Donald Trump is being invested as some divinely inspired individual, that he is now a hand of God working in the world, that shows you how crazy that his things have become here in the United States. And I must emphasize, this is accepted by many Americans as true. And when Trump starts believing it himself, he is then creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. One of the consequences, perhaps unexpected, from Trump's push for war in Iran is the base, the MAGA base that elected him, is coming apart at the seams. It's being divided right down the middle. There are many people that still insist that, as Mike Huckabee does, that Donald Trump is doing God's work and he's the revelation of an eternal deity. But there are others, such as Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, even Jack Posobiec, it would appear, and most importantly, Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, who have been speaking out and warning Trump about not entering the United States into this war with Iran. Trump's response to Tucker Carlson was to, like a child, call Tucker names. And this is the disturbing thing about Donald Trump, a 79-year-old man who engages in juvenile insults. And other world leaders need to keep that in mind when they're talking to them. Understand, they're not talking to a gifted person. There's no denying Trump's accomplishments in terms of securing the second nomination and election to president. But his behavior, erratic. It is more erratic than any time I recall. 1 minute boasting about the U.S.'s support and involvement with Israel in Israel's criminal attack on Iran on Friday the 13th, and then a few days later denying that he had any knowledge of it, to now insisting that he's given Iran every chance to negotiate, and their only chance now is to actually surrender or to be attacked by the United States. That is the choice that's being offered. That's why I say that we live now in an extremely dangerous time. The odds are that the U.S. attack may inflict some significant damage on Iran, but the odds that it's going to cause Iran to collapse, come apart at the seams, and then become immediately a tool of the West, I think that is a fool's dream. At least I hope it is, because the alternative that comes from that, if the United States succeeds in overthrowing the government of Iran, then we are on a path to a nuclear war, because Russia and China will be next on that chopping block. And I don't see either country backing down. Sorry to have such a dark vision for you today, but it's important that we talk about this. I'll be discussing these matters later this week with my friend Alistair Crook. Alistair is always a prescient, informed, and highly intelligent individual with firsthand experience in the region, and is able to bring some insights that the average person may not receive. Thank you for watching. If you thought this worth your time, hit the like button. Please subscribe. Share it with your family and friends. I'm Larry Johnson, and this is Countercurrents.